So the 15 minutes elapsed and I wanted to proceed ahead with the mini project 10. So again, project number 9, I assume that all of you should have it working. So the task for this project is update your code to store your expenses data in this format. So this is a real world scenario, okay? So your customer, your company's client may come to you and they may ask you like, we need an application which store data in this format. For example, the category comes first, grocery, and the first expense type and the actual cost, the second expense type, and so on and so forth. Okay? So this is the format you should be writing, should be able to write the data in this format. Okay? A piece of hint I would like to give you is to collect input expenses, use dictionary data structure to store type and expense. We have used list to store these expenses. Okay? This time you only be using, it's only a suggestion. Okay? This is the requirement, and those 2 points A and B are, I'm just suggesting you how to achieve that. Okay? And please make sure you use PyPal for seeking help, and you need to submit the PyPal interaction. One of the example that I can give you that you can try out yourself that might be useful. You can take a picture if you want. So this is what I tried out, and it gave me pretty much close to the solution. It also suggested me something which I had to discard. You need to decide yourself. You should be smart enough what you need to discard. Again, it's all about how well you ask your question. So if you want PyPal or any generative AI platform to answer you correctly, you need to ask questions correctly, okay, as descriptive as possible. You may also consider copy pasting a certain portion of your code and try asking how to merge something into the existing thing. Okay? So let me go back, try to work on it. As this thing says, locate where you are storing type and expenses and convert that into a dictionary type. Okay, so I'm demonstrating here, and I will be going a bit slower so that you can catch up. So here, first of all, this was my hint where we are catching type and expense. This type is actually what? Is a milk or whatever grocery, and the expense is the actual value, numerical value, right? We can store them as a key value pair in a dictionary. So which we can do it here. But before I do that, I need to create a dictionary. Let's say I create a dictionary, self.expenses underscore dictionary, and I'm creating an empty dictionary, the curly braces here. Okay? So in this dictionary, whenever I collect any expense, I need to add a key value pair. How do I do this? I'm here. I need to add a key in the square brackets, and key is type, and the value is expense. Okay? This is how I can simply create a key value pair in an existing dictionary. There is something here which I need to modify. This expense is a string type, so I need to convert that into float. Okay? Now previously I was managing categories like milk, bread, butter, whatever, in a separate list. Similarly, I was managing their expenses in a separate list. I no longer need this. I can just simply get rid of them either by commenting them out or deleting them. So let me comment that out here as well. So, but it may affect other methods. The get expenses method, total money you spent on, this is the expense type, it is summing up all the expenses in a list, which we have already commented out. Okay, so what we can do here is expenses underscore dictionary. We already have a dictionary. We can access its values with the help of values method. Okay, recall the method that I taught you last time online. There are three methods: keys, values, and items we can use. The keys will return keys, values will return values, and items will return both key and a value pair. Okay, so it will sum up all the values and then it will display it here. And since we are returning it here also, so we need to add that here as well. Okay. Similarly, in get expenses list, we are accessing categories and expenses which we no longer need. I need to replace this with something, which I will do, but first I will proceed ahead with writing the method, which is write to file into self. Okay, so since we are writing into the file, we need to have a file name. Either I can hard code it or I can collect it from the user as with the input function, but let's keep it simple. I'm hard coding it with data.txt. So this is a file that will be created and the expenses will go in here. Data.txt, I need to also specify the mode of operation. Which mode should I be using, W or A? If I use W, when the grocery expenses are added, it will be added. When the car expenses will come, it will be overwritten. Means that grocery, milk, eggs will be deleted and the new expenses will come in. Okay? Which I do not want. I want to keep grocery, car, and any other thing that is coming in. So I would be using append mode. So with open, whatever I want to open as, and I can give it a name, the object name, data. Okay? Now, what I need to do first is to write data. What I need to write first is the type of expense, like a grocery or car. Is there anything which has that information? Is there any variable which has that information, whether it's a grocery or a car? In the project type, when we create an object, budget, we specify the type of the expense, right? And that goes into expense type. So we have this expense type which holds this information. So I can just write expense type and it will display, for example, if I have added grocery first, so it will display grocery first. Okay? And then next what I need to do is to change the line. I can change the line by writing write statement again and specifying \n. It will change the line. Okay? Now come back here and see grocery is printed, it changes line. Now it has to print all the type and expenses in a separate line. Type, then expense, and change line. Type, expense, separate line. We do not know how many type and expenses are there in a specific category. So which means that we need to loop over. Okay, so for type exp in expenses, self.expenses dictionary, and this time I need to run items method. Why? Because the items will return the key which I'm catching in here in the type, and the value will go here, expense. Okay, so what I can do here now, so data dot write, what I can do here now is data I'm writing in. So F statement, using F statement, first what I want to write is the type. Let's say it's milk. Space, colon, space again, $, and then what? Expense, exp. See? Okay? And I think you would probably want to convert that into string also. We will see, okay? Hmm?
Can I see the output again?
Output?
Yeah.
Okay, so dollar sign is supposed to be in the output. So after printing one expense type and expenses, we need to actually change the line again so that it can print the next type and expenses in a separate line. And after all this list, it has to print an empty line again to start beginning with the, sorry, yep. So after the loop is finished, I need to change the line again so that the new category like car, school, tuition, utility, whatever is there should come in. Okay, so this method is completed. I need to go back and talk about this one here, categories. So I can just simply copy paste this one because I'm no longer using the list. Everything is a dictionary. I can just get rid of this, and instead of data write, I can just simply use the print statement. So it will again loop over type and expenses, print type and expense. It will print the same thing. Okay. Now we have this method created, and we have updated other methods also. What we just need to do is to, it says into another method write to file and write data into file immediately. Immediately means as soon as we collect all the expense types like milk, bun, eggs, whatever, as soon as it is collected, as soon as this for loop is finished, we just need to call that function to write the data. So because we are calling into the same object, so we would write self and write to file. If I would be calling this method outside this class, for example from project, I would have to write the name of the object like grocery and then write to file. Here I'm writing self. Python interpreter will automatically identify whether I'm talking about the car object or grocery object or whatever. Okay, so it is completed now. Let's try running this code. Let me check everything is in place. Class is 10. Okay. Python project 10.py. Number of grocery expenses 2. And favorite thing, eggs are very expensive. So when I hit enter, you will see a file is created. Because why? When I hit enter, the loop will be finished and it will call this method. Sorry, I forgot to do this. I don't know whether it is going to call it or not. No, it did not. So let me try running it again. I forgot to include the opening and closing braces, but let's try running it again. 2 milk, eggs. Okay, when I hit enter, you'll see a file is being created here in the same directory. The file is created, but it is giving me some error which has, did you mean item? We're in this line. Okay, yeah, so I misspelled this in line number 53. It should be items. Same goes here, items. Okay, let's try running it again. Although the file is already created, let's try removing this. Maybe I can delete this. 4 milk. Okay, so I'm hitting enter and you will see this file is created and it logged everything related to grocery that I have entered. And the application is asking me to add something for a car. Let's say 2 expenses again, oil and gas, 34 for example. And you can see these new items are also added in the file. Okay. There is a problem in this writing code. Can anyone spot that problem? So the problem is, when I run this code again, let's say this time only one grocery item that I want to add, milk, 12. So when I hit enter, it created the same category again, grocery, with the new item milk 12. It should have been added in under the same title, grocery. It should not be creating, otherwise it's not a practical solution. Okay, in practical application, it should not be adding milk or whatever I want to add by creating a separate category again. Okay, you should be adding it in the same category. So this is one of the problems that you need to fix in your project. You need to be aware of that it should not be writing it in as a separate entity. How you can do that? You need to ensure that whenever you run the application again, it loads the database. Okay, the database, I'm calling this as your database. So this is a data file that already exists. So you should load it first, and based on that, you can keep adding new things in the existing category.